Good morning, Raptor freaks. Lexi out here, and it is Saturday. We lost to the Magic on TV last night. It was on ESPN last night. Yeah. Ugh. It's another one of these games where the Raptors had a disastrous quarter and lost. And it was the fourth quarter this time, a quarter where we saw the opposing team double us up in points once again. This is what happened against the Knicks on Wednesday, too. This is a troubling trend right now, but I think there's a lot of different things in play when this happens. And last night was a special case in some ways. The game last night was weird. I didn't I totally had confidence in them to win it because the pattern they've shown over the year is in close games in the fourth quarter, they're a clutch team. Like Karthika, stat queen of the Raptors, came out with a stat after the game saying that for the start of the season, the Raptors, if there's a game that's close like this, they win 23-3 was their record. We were 23-3 in games like this. And in the recent past, the Raptors are now 3-3 in these situations, which is not as good a percentage as 23-3 from the start of the season. So this is a little bit of a problem. This is something crazy. I mean, there were a lot of contributing factors to why the Raptors fell apart by the end of the game and lost the Magic on national television. I hate it. I would say that the Raptors looked good at times during the game and were impressive and did some really cool stuff during the game. And some eyes got on them and seen like, oh wow, actually, you know what? They did kind of win that part of the assignment. Alas, they didn't get the win though. And in some ways, people will look at that and it'll reinforce negative perceptions about the Raptors, which is the thing that pisses me off the most. Is because, if we're on national television in the United States maybe once or twice the whole season and people finally get to see us, if we drop the ball and fumble like this, that's what's going to stick in their mind. They won't take us seriously. They won't respect us. They'll say things like, well, yeah, look, they were fun to watch, but they're not a good team because obviously they can't shoot. It's stuff like that we'll hear today. And that's what former coach of the Denver Nuggets, Michael Malone, said before the broadcast on ESPN. He said the Raptors are great and all this, but they can't shoot. He just said that straight up. They're another team in this league that cannot shoot. Once again, that department is headed by certain people on our team, and they have failed this year, and it's pissed me off. It's so pissed me off. There's certain people on our team that are supposed to be notorious for being amazing shooters, and they have not shown up this year. And that's pissing me off, man. It's pissing me off. I don't know. There's a couple different factors here. One of the factors last night, obviously, was Desmond Bane. Desmond Bane played like he cared the most on the court last night. Desmond Bane played with a competitive edge. In some ways, I felt like when we played them in the past, Desmond's kind of gone easy on us. I don't know if it was because of him and Darko's very special relationship, but Desmond wanted to kick our ass last night, and he did. He did. And that's another problem is like we allowed the Magic in the second half to get momentum, to start feeling good, to getting open threes and having this go for them and that. And I was exactly right yesterday when I said one of the most important stats for the night is going to be who's going to make more threes. The team that makes more threes will win. And they made 10 more threes than us last night. And that's a huge advantage. I'm just sick of the Raptors stagnating at crucial times where they just can't get a point. I don't understand how y'all can't score. There's so many of y'all that are talented on this team. Why the hell aren't y'all scoring at certain points? There were other factors. The refs were a little weird. They weren't overtly controlling the game, but there were little subtle things they were doing. Like there was a lot of extra pausing in this game, like more than normal, right? Some say it's the shot clock. Is the shot clock resetting? Brett Bernecki's going over to the thing to stand there near the beginning of the game. And the referees understand the tempo of basketball. They understand how it's an up and down game and that teams like to build, energy, especially the Raptors. In this case, one of our biggest strengths is our transition game, and we're going to try and run. We're going to try and run and get that tempo up so it favors us. Well, one of the ways the refs can manipulate the game is to slow it down. And one of the ways they do it is very quite literally slow it down by taking the ball and holding it on the sideline for like an extra 30 to 45 seconds. That's just abnormally long for a pause between an inbounds. They did it twice. They did it on an inbounds for them and an inbounds for us. And they're looking at the clock and they're saying, "Oh, it's adjusting the clock and stuff like that." And that may very well be true, but that shit is unnatural. And in some ways, just like a beat in a song, you have a beat that hits beats that you kind of expect to come. And if you're throwing the rhythm off kilter by holding long pauses, we're like, all right, guys, y'all stand around. That's why like the speaker fire that happened with the Raptors, it's tough because you cool off. But these pregnant pauses of going to check the shot clock and taking so much time, you'd be surprised how much that can actually slow the game down because everybody gets to stand around for a second and rest. The defense gets to set up, and your offensive team's anxious to get the ball and bound and go, but the refs are holding it because they're doing some weird shit with the shot clock. You know, that in some ways was a subtle manipulation. There were manipulations with foul calls, like the regular stuff, as far as this is a side out foul. This is a foul that, we're going to do this and this. There was a lot of that kind of stuff too. And I mean, I'm not going to blame the refs. The Magic earned this game. They play better than us, Desmond Bain specifically. And it just sucks. It's just that in some ways, the refs will slow down the tempo of the game by doing something like what I just described. The other factor that was cited by Darko last night after the game in his press conference was the crowd, guys. Last night, the Orlando crowd was very lively and very interactive with the game, especially at courtside. There were a lot of fans that were near the court last night that were not the normal kind of, I'm just going to sit here and be quiet fans and watch. There were interactive fans. There were fans that were talking to the players very actively throughout the game last night, and they were throwing some of our free throws off. I mean, Brandon missed a free throw because Stuff the Magic Dragon was going like this on the end line. Seriously, you should see Stuff the Magic Dragon do his little hula dance. And then Brandon misses his second free throw of 2 free throw attempts. I saw guys jawing at the Raptors sitting at courtside saying all kinds of trash. And if there were trashy MAGA people or just trashy people, they could probably be pretty annoying and kind of fucked up with what they're saying. I mean, I know Central Florida people, they can be douchebags. Let's just put it that way. And, the Raptors, Darko said the Raptors didn't do a good job tuning out the crowd last night. And that the crowd actually did have a factor in kind of screwing them up with just being loud and being obnoxious and trying to screw up their free throws and just talking trash along with Desmond Bain. Now, I know that Orlando fan base pretty well because I was in it for a while. And for the most part, usually the Magic fans are nice people and they're just basketball people. But there can be a lot of jerks too. And that in some ways was a factor in the game last night. I mean, you saw Desmond Bain button up with RJ Barrett and talking trash. He threw Emmanuel to the ground on that flagrant foul, and that was a justified flagrant foul. He definitely threw him stronger than he had to. And kudos to Ochai Agbaji for getting in his face immediately and taking the technical. I'm sure Emmanuel will pay him for it. I'm sure he will. But yeah, Desmond was very cocky. He was talking a lot of trash. In some ways, he was backing it up. I like RJ getting in his face and talking trash back. There was a huge dialogue between Barrett and Bain last night, all throughout the game. And when we were winning, RJ felt good and we were beating them. But then, Bain had the last laugh and he went crazy in the fourth. In some ways, I'll bet Darko's dismayed to see his team lose. But at the same time, he's kind of like, wow, my protege from before. Look at him where he is now. I'm so proud of him to a degree also. Yeah, it's a tough thing, man. The other factor that I call for part of the reason why the Raptors lost last night is, well, we had the genius of Brandon Ingram last night. In fact, at times Brandon looked like Kobe on the court last night, Kobe Bryant. And that's not that's not something you should just say. That's something is true. That Brandon Ingram was doing a bit of that Kobe Bryant out there last night. And the rest of the guys didn't even get close to they didn't get 20 points beside him. Brandon can go get almost 40 points, but none of the other Raptors are getting 20 also. That's not enough firepower to match four Magic players with 20 points. In some ways, we got to stack it all up and add it all up. You got to beat the guy you're against. Brandon took care of that. What's going on with you guys, Barbecue? What are y'all doing? Where's your 20 points? Paulo got 20. Desmond got 20. Anthony Black got 20. Wendell Carter Jr. got 20. But you guys can't get 20. Only Brandon can get 20. What the fuck is that? Scott, we know you can get 20. So go fucking get 20, Scotty Barnes. You big bad boy. You could do whatever you want on the court. So why are you wasting your life not doing it yet? Like, seriously, what's going on, Scott? You're a powerful player. You need to play like it. You got to stop doing this shit. The disappearing act for like parts of the game because you're like, I'm an unselfish guy and I let the game come to me and I don't want to take too much from myself. That's what he said in an interview with Hannah Storm before the game on ESPN. He said, I'm trying to just play. I'm not taking too much. I'm like, dude, take too much. Do it. Take too much. Why? Wait, why not take too much, bro? Why not? Brandon can go get almost 40. You go get almost 42. I just want to see you put an aggressive offensive effort. Maybe look at Desmond Bane and say, man, I should come in with a mindset like Desmond Bane in the next game. I mean, something like that, Scott. Please, man. We saw your exemplary defense, and the defensive player of the year conversation for you is more inflamed and good now because that was national stage, and you had people talking heads on ESPN saying you should be a defensive player of the year candidate. Alas, they're still going to throw Gobert and Wembanyama and other people above you. But, at least Evan Mobley's not up there above you at this time. But still, Scotty, and you did a bunch of stuff in the game last night to show just how crazy good you are on defense. There was a lot of good stuff there. Lots of cool blocks and just shit disturber stuff. But alas, if four Magic are going to score 20 points and only one Raptor gets 30, and the rest of them get under 20, we're going to lose. It's math. It all adds up. It's addition. So it's like you guys got to contribute. And I'm not going to go after our former Knicks too hard. I'm going to say it's all their faults. All of them need to step up and put that extra oomph, a few more points in there. And if it's the shooting because you're missing too many shots that's not making you get to the 20 points, well, shoot better and get the fucking shots to drop. Seriously, man, it's just a tough one, man. It's a tough one. I know y'all want to talk about it, so let's get into it. Let's get into the chat. Let's see what y'all are saying. Just kind of a little bit of an overview there. I'll go over each player in the box score, and we'll talk a little bit more about the performance of each guy because there's different bright spots and different stuff that's frustrating with different people on the team from last night. Trevor J saying this for the words of wisdom. Life is like a camera. Focus on what's important. Capture the good times. Develop from the negatives. And if things don't work out, take another shot. This is interesting. I feel like this one was written very carefully because it says develop from the negatives. It's such a wise word. It's goofy. It's goofy because it's like you said, capture the good times with the pictures, but develop from the negatives in the dark room. Yeah. Does anybody have a dark room anymore? Do people have negatives anymore? No, because it's all digital cameras on your phone and stuff like that. It's interesting, but that's a throwback right there. Yeah. Yeah. And if things don't work out, take another shot. I like that. I like that. This words of wisdom is cool. It's cool. It's very CJ Miles. It's very CJ Miles to me. It's very much the shooter that became the shooter of shots with the camera. down the road. Yeah, this is very CJ Miles there. Thank you for the words of wisdom, Trevor J. Blessings to the Jones family, all the Raptor Freak families. Yeah. Trevor's saying we fumbled the nationally televised Raptors game last night. Once again, in the fourth quarter, could not make a shot. I feel like in some ways these games are where the NBA may flex their muscle to show Raptors Nation and the team that, you know what, if we want you to lose, we're going to figure out how to make that look like that on TV. I feel like I don't feel like it's the pressure of being on national television that got us last night. I think it's just more that NBA narratives from head office want to be instituted, and if they're going to show the team in America, you know, they have to have stuff to show to back up the rhetoric about the Raptors. And when we fail in front of the US audience, it can back up the perceptions they want to establish. It's annoying, man. I wish they had beaten them. I wish we'd beaten 5 versus association last night, because it was 5 versus association. It was. And the Raptors couldn't meet the challenge last night, unfortunately. And January ends with a 9-6 record, and you know, it could have been worse. Could have been worse. We got a weird month we're starting tomorrow. February, there's only 10 games, and 7 of them are at home. So and they're spread out. So it should be an interesting month. I hope that they take care of business and win most of these games, because I'll tell you right now, a lot of the games in February this month are extremely winnable, and they should win. They should win, especially because we've got a homestand all the way till All-Star break now. The Raptors are coming back to Toronto, and they're going to play like 5 games before they get to the All-Star break, and all of them are here. So we've got a nice long 2-week homestand where the guys will be here. There'll be lots of time for the Raptors to practice. Maybe there'll be lots of time for Jakob Poeltl's back to get better until the All-Star break. And we'll just have to see what happens. I think that Brandon did a good job last night of showing off how powerful he is for his case to make the All-Star team. We'll just have to see if losing the game hurts his chances. If they had won the game last night, would have made it an even better case for Brandon to make the All-Star team. He was moving like he wanted to showcase himself for that last night. He was moving in a certain way last night, a little bit more in certain ways, which I appreciate. And it also shows that, you know what, he's probably going to have an extra gear in playoffs, because, you know, he's not going extremely all out every single 82 games. But last night, he showed a little bit more of a different gear last night to showcase, hey, NBA, I am an all-star, and look at me, and look at what I'm doing. Nobody can stop me. I appreciate him for rising to the occasion. Alas, you know, we can't do this with a one-man show. We need the other guys to show up and score too. We definitely do. Yeah. Yeah, it's a fumble, and I hate it, man. In some ways, it's like I wish they kind of hadn't put this game on national television, because I think we would have won it if we hadn't been on national television, guys. Yeah, I know that sounds crazy to say that, right? But I feel like the weird pressure and the attention on the game wouldn't have been there, and we might have won it, you know? All right, here we go. We got the infamous 6 coming in hot. Good morning, infamous. How are you today?
Good. I'm doing okay, Lex. I'm doing all right. I'm doing okay. How are you doing?
I'm mostly all right. I'm just, you know, weathering the cold weather. And you know, I hated that game last night. I'm not happy about this game. I know sometimes I you know, after losses I can kind of deal with them and kind of work through them, but I still haven't kind of worked through them fumbling this game last night. I'm kind of pissed off still, but I'm holding myself back from just going crazy. And I'm trying to look at it
Right.
rationally and kind of parsing it out to try and figure out exactly what the hell happened last night, you know?
Okay. I have a different perspective, by the
Okay.
way. I'll get into the meat and potatoes of what I saw. I'm not really mad at this loss, and I'll tell you why. It was basically the team played extremely well you could say, for the first 3 quarters.
For
And I
sure.
think that the wheels just fell off. The wheels just fell off in the fourth, where it happens sometimes. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes you just go cold and you miss shots, right? So for the most part of the effort was there. I mean, the effort was there on defense. The effort was there on the offense. We played extremely well. I thought the first couple of quarters was amazing. Like that was the Raptors that we're used to.
For sure.
Now
The
there is some
second quarter was really
things,
good.
Yeah, there's some glaring things that may be needed to take note of, right? And I think this is a bigger problem than the center problem. This is a bigger problem than the center problem. I know everybody's saying that, oh, we need a center, but our lack of consistent outside shooting is more of a glaring problem than a center problem.
I'd agree with this.
And people will say, "Yeah, oh, the Raptors need a center. We need no. We need consistent outside, a consistent outside shooter, or shooters."
Yeah. And this is something we felt like we've needed for a few years, just like the center. You know, that's why we had projects like Grady and Jameson and Jacoby, and Gary Trent Jr. was like our best shooter for a few years, and we know how much of a streak shooter he is. And I seen how Milwaukee fans are really mad at him right now for him going through a bad streak right now currently. And it's true. It's like the Raptors, in some ways, we went so long arm monster, wing, athletic guy, but not really looked for sharpshooters or building a corpse of sharpshooters or reliable shooters. And so we just hadn't collected a lot of them. Now we collected some of these kind of guys in recent years, but they're not coming through this year. And it's pissing me off. This is why I'm really frustrated with Grady.
That is we're on the same boat, because that is actually my frustration. My only frustration with the game is that when we get into the meat and potatoes of the game and we need like the outside shot, because they basically buried us with guys that can just hit those shots in crucial moments, right? Outside shooting. If you want to be, from what I saw.
Well, Bane,
there was other things involved,
it was Bane mostly.
Bane, yeah.
And he was hitting some crazy shots, and he was balling out, and he was very determined, very determined player last night. Yeah.
Right. Let's be fair. There were shots where guys were closing out. I mean, they did what they're supposed to do. They put their hands in the face,
they hit
their hands were up, and he still hit it. Like,
yeah.
There's nothing. When a team gets hot like that, sometimes you just got to shake your head.
Well, you got to try not to let them get hot. Like, you can't let them get good things going and feeling that. And, it's dumb stuff like, a half-ass pass where Jalen Suggs is jumping into the passing lane and running it back the other way. That can break momentum. That can give good energy to the other team. And then all of a sudden they start getting rolling. That there was some lazy-ass, horrible turnovers around when things started to turn bad that were the catalyst for what happened. And Darko admitted this after the game, his technical fucked them up too, because he's like, I should have had more control. I shouldn't have let myself get that technical, because he feels like that was part of the catalyst too, that started giving more and more good feelings to Desmond Bane and the Magic and getting them going for the fourth quarter.
And I'm glad you mentioned, because that leads into my second point of what we need to really take a look at. So the consistent outside shooting, like I said, and the next thing, we're starting to develop a really bad pattern of teams believing that they can as long as they hang in the game and they can get physical with us, at the end it gives them an opportunity or a chance to win out in the end. And we gotta match. What's going to happen is when teams get physical with us, we got to match their intensity. And we're not matching their intensity in crucial moments like that. So I don't know what it's a mental thing, what Darko needs to talk to the team about, but we are not matching the physicality and an intensity when it gets revved up.
Yeah. And I mean, that can be pointed to partly like missing Yak, and also partly the first issue you're saying that you don't think is one of the biggest issues or it is a big issue, but you're saying that the shooter issue, because I do think the lack of size down low could help with this if we filled it. And then, I think that in some ways it's also just like, you got to want it more than the other team at times. And if one guy on the other team wants it way more than you, and I mean, we could say Suggs too, because they have that same energy, Bane and Suggs, and they get after it. And maybe Suggs was doing more what he does on the defensive end, but he did get some offense a little bit too. But that's part of it right there, is just like dog. In some ways, the dog factor was out dogged by Bane and Suggs. And that shouldn't be happening, Scotty Barnes. No, that shouldn't be happening.
And here's another point I'd like to make as well, and I'm almost done. When games like this happen and we lose, and this is directed at quote unquote Raptor fans. I like to put that in correctly. I don't know if they're Raptor fans or not.
Raptors Nation.
We Raptors Nation, and some people I question this. The default mechanisms that I'm hearing is, oh, it's Emmanuel Quickly's fault, or oh, it's RJ's fault. If you watch, this shows me that some people don't watch the game. If you watch their game, Shed did not play a good game. But you will never hear criticism directed at Shed. And I'm not going at Shed, but I'm just saying the default mechanism. We got to cut this out. The default mechanism is always Emmanuel Quickly. It's not Emmanuel Quickly. Did he play a great game? No, he didn't play. But it wasn't. I mean.
I'll go to the box score and I'll look at him really close when we get there. But I would say this once again, and this phenomenon has been happening for like the last year or so. It's basically, once again, I'm going to say this. There's Knicks Nation that comes into our Reddit and comes after those guys in particular to make them the epicenter of controversy on our team. And it's not necessarily some of our people. It's people directing our people to go to them. And I feel like, I think you're right. I think that it's more of a team failure and not like going after individual guys. I'll go over each guy because I have a critical thing to say about pretty much all of them, except for Brandon is the only guy I really don't have. But all the rest of them, I have something critical to say. And Scotty's got a big part that falls on his broad shoulders too for last night.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we'll go around and talk about each one of them when I go to the box score for sure.
And this is my final point, and this is a little bit outside of the topic. I saw a very interesting interview with Isaiah Thomas.
Okay.
It just came up on my feed, and it was a fascinating interview. I don't know if you saw it, where he was talking about how he came close to drafting Kevin Garnett.
Oh yeah, I knew about that.
Oh yeah, I thought, but the fascinating part about it, I didn't know about it. I just came across it a couple days ago. The fascinating thing I thought about was that he was already thinking ahead of the game before anybody else. Because what he wanted to do, if Raptor fans, if you're listening, if you ever get a chance, go check out an interview. I don't know, type it into your algorithm or something where Isaiah Thomas talks about Kevin Durant. Sorry, not Kevin Garnett. I mean, and he came very close to drafting.
He wanted him. Minnesota grabbed him right before we were going to get taken.
But the thing that fascinated me, he said he wanted to put Garnett as the center and with all guards around him.
Yeah.
With all guards around it. And I think it plays into, he was already thinking ahead, because if you think ahead right now, that's basically what teams are doing now.
Well, Isaiah was definitely a visionary. Isaiah was definitely ahead of his time. I mean, I knew that back then too. Like, I mean, not totally back then, but I mean, he was trying stuff and he was a little bit different. And that's why it's such a shame that Richard Petty and their idiots like ran him off, because they didn't know basketball. And honestly, Isaiah was fantastic. Like any kind of sullying of Isaiah Thomas, whether it was by Sportsnet with their stupid Raptors Delight bullshit that came out, or anybody who says it from the press like Doug Smith or anybody like that, they're wrong. Because Isaiah Thomas, all he was guilty of was being a young former player, black executive in Toronto in an ecosystem where he wasn't totally welcome on the down low by the corporate structures of Canada. And he was not totally welcome by the powers that be, especially when the Raptors were consolidated with the Maple Leafs and it became Maple Leaf Sports and Entertainment. There's an underlying racist tone in MLSE that has been there and is still there today. And the fact that they didn't want to have a black executive in MLSE is the biggest problem here. But they'll go ahead and sully him. They'll say all kinds of crazy shit about he was difficult, he was this and that. They didn't understand he's a Hall of Famer, and he's a guy who came straight from the court, and he's a proven winner, and that he was a two-time champion as a player, and that he was all this stuff. And they didn't respect that, because a lot of the people up here in Canada did not understand it, and they treated him just like some black dude who just showed up as a young guy, because he was young too. We got to remember, he came straight from the court to our front office. He did not take any kind of route. He was young when he was in charge of our team. So he came off as brash and maybe a little bit too pushy. Maybe it was just like, what? Who is this guy? What is he doing? Well, honestly, y'all need to shut up and respect who he is, because he is who he is. You know, but they didn't do that. And if John Batove had been able to stay in the ownership group without Alan Slate's shotgun clausing his ass out, who knows what the trajectory of the Raptors would have been after the first 5 years if Isaiah Thomas hadn't been forced out by a bunch of rich white men who fucking were threatened by him.
Right. People forget, and I want Raptor fans to look back at this. Look at the players he drafted.
Oh yeah, he did fantastic.
He did fantastic.
He really did want to get Kevin Garnett. That's a very well-known thing. And and it, in some ways the NBA kind of made things happen in a certain way also to make sure we didn't get Kevin Garnett.
Yeah.
Same thing with Allen Iverson. We were supposed to get Allen Iverson, but we couldn't get him either.
Allen Iverson. Yes,
so,
I remember that one too.
But we did get Tracy, and we did get Vince, and we did get Marcus Camby. And he went against the Ed O'Bannon and got Damon Stoudemire, which is something that was absolutely right, and the fans were wrong. That was the first time the Raptors fans were ever wrong in the whole history of the Raptors.
Raptor fans were extremely wrong on that.
Yeah, Ed O'Bannon over Damon Stoudemire. Y'all were crazy. So, yeah. All right, man. Let's finish up this call. I love that you brought up that thing about Isaiah. I want to bring up one little thing about Isaiah real quick.
Sure, go ahead.
They retired Mark Aguirre's jersey in Dallas this week. And of course, Mark Aguirre grew up in the same neighborhood as Isaiah in Chicago, and they were childhood friends. And Isaiah, of course, asked the Detroit Pistons to trade to get Mark Aguirre. They traded Adrian Dantley to the Mavericks and got Mark Aguirre, and then won 2 championships with Mark Aguirre on the Pistons.
I remember him.
Yeah, and Mark Aguirre got his jersey retired. He's crying, and they showed the footage of Isaiah watching him, and just everybody's bawling. And him and Rolando Blackman had to go up on stage and console Mark Aguirre after he got his jersey retired, because this is a big deal. Mark, you wonder why would Mark Aguirre get his jersey retired now? Since he played in the 80s, and he played for the Mavericks from like 82 to 89, and he was acrimonious as a Maverick. He was not.
I remember him. Yeah,
he was not totally a smooth time, because he was. Some people labeled him as selfish. Some people said he was a problem. In fact, he may have had actual problems with Rolando, who was there at his retirement ceremony. But yeah, in some ways, them coming back around and retiring his jersey now, and then seeing the emotional outpouring of Mark Aguirre was very interesting. And Isaiah being there for his childhood friend made total sense. Total sense. Great. Yeah. All right, Infamous.
That's what I want to say. Raptor fans, if you get a chance, check out that clip or check out that interview. Very fascinating tidbits in that interview. Yeah. And I just want to say, hold tight. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. This is just a bump in the road, and we'll get. We'll get.
Listen, we got Utah tomorrow. We need to get them and beat them on our home court because of who they are and their record, and we need to build off of that and continue. Because right before we go to All-Star break, we played the Pistons at home for the first time, and that will be the big test. So we got four games to practice, and then you get the Pistons at home, Raptors, just before the All-Star break starts. So let's take care of all of these teams because they're different levels. We got Indiana again coming up. We got a couple different teams coming through, and a lot of these games are winnable, and they need to take care of the games that are definitely winnable and not fumble them. So, yeah.
And my final note, Raptor fans, if there's no big moves made at the trade deadline, do not get angry, do not get upset, do not do stuff at your TV and wax for Bobby to be asked.
Yeah, I mean,
because I don't really expect anything big to happen at the trade deadline.
Yeah, we'll just have to see. I mean, the fact that they didn't play Goga last night kind of does show that they are ready to trade him. So who knows? Maybe Bobby was talking to the Orlando people last night, and we may be getting Pataze very soon. We'll have to see. I mean, that could be very helpful. Yeah. All right, Infamous. Thank you for the Infamous 6 in the house.
Thank you.
Let's go, Raptor. Yeah, awesome. Very cool. Always good to hear from my friend Infamous and his thoughts on the game. I think that, I like that he's saying that he was proud of them to an extent. I think so too. I mean, let's talk about it from a positive side real quick. There was a section in the middle of the game during some of the stuff that the Raptors were doing, it was absolutely the best stuff for us to put on display to the national television audience in the United States. that one play where they passed the ball from all 5 players touched the ball. It was so unselfish. And in fact, in some ways, I was kind of annoyed because once again, we get the ball so close to the basket and nobody's elevating, put it up, but they're looking to kick it back out to the 3. But the last person who touched it was Brandon Ingram for 3, and he hit it. But that one possession where all 5 of the Raptors on the court touched the ball in a row, watching it as a basketball purist, as a fan in the United States who may not get to watch the Raptors, that in some ways, that possession told everybody what they needed to know about the team, because it is not common what we're doing. In some ways, people will see like the teamwork between our guys and the defense and the way that they're hustling and playing hard, and they'll be like, whoa, the Raptors are really good. They'll see some of the very special extra top talent of Brandon Ingram and Scotty Barnes and be like, wow, actually, the Raptors got weapons. They can see RJ and Emmanuel working in that system and having good things happen too, and be like, yeah, this is a team that's serious. So, the showcasing of us on ESPN last night wasn't totally a failure, even if we did lose the game and fumbled it at the end. In some ways, they wanted that storyline, but we did enough during the middle of the game to kind of show we're impressive, and Scotty's a problem for the league in the future. And Brandon still got it, So we can say that at least. We can say that. Yeah. Trevor's saying that Scotty did a great job on the NBA Today interview. Yeah, watch that. He was on an interview with Hannah Storm, who's a legend. She's been doing NBA since I was a kid. She's up there. And I was shocked to see her on ESPN last night covering the Raptors game. And well, that was a good interview. Scotty doesn't like doing press. He hates interviews. But he's gotten a lot better at them. And the thing that I liked the most about Scotty's interview before the game with Hannah Storm was how humble he was and how matter of fact he was. She gave him a couple of questions where he could have gotten real cocky and he could have gone off and tooted his own horn. But instead, he was grounded and he was kind of like, we know as a team, if we do well as a team and win, the accolades will come personally. She brings up the Defensive Player of the Year contest, and he's humble about it, but he's also not like putting himself down. He's saying, I work really hard and I do this and I do that, and I'm really am trying to become one of the best two-way players in the NBA. So yeah, great job by Scott. His media training is an ongoing thing. It's something that in the very beginning in his rookie year scared the hell out of him. And to see where he's gotten to this point is fantastic. There's also an article out on Scotty by Mark J. Spears on ESPN.com about his love of theater, which is interesting. And, that's fantastic press on him also. So Scotty's getting some spotlight. Scotty's in the conversation. When you have people like Windhurst and Perkins on the stage saying things like, Scotty is a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, that definitely helps reinforce his case for these possibilities. And then when he does what he does on the court with the block shots and the way he plays defense, that's fantastic. It's just too bad they couldn't seal the deal and win. It's just too bad, man. Yeah, Fiercely saying great words of wisdom, Trevor J. You're a photographer too, huh? Fiercely, good to see you, MJ. She's saying good morning, fam, and happy Saturday. Good news. Fiercely Jr. and her team won a very physical game by 1 point. Okay, so she was playing former teammates in this game recently. And I'll bet that how sweet it is. How sweet it is to beat your former teammates. Yeah. Yeah, that's fun. Congratulations, Fiercey Jr. Your journey as a basketball player has its ups and downs, and well, enjoy this up, is what I would say to Fiercey Jr. Don't get too up, though. Stay even keeled. That's right. Fantastic stuff, MJ. I love hearing that. Physical game, huh? Physical game. Interesting. I hope everybody was okay. Fiercey saying now onto our team. Despite the loss, we look good on national TV for 3 quarters. And it wasn't a blowout. The broadcast was speaking highly of us. Yeah. We were getting good grades. Mark Jones covering the game on ESPN. You wouldn't know he's from Toronto from the way he calls the game. That's for sure. Even the Orlando guys were fair. They usually have been for a long time. David Steele and Jeff Turner. Jeff Turner's been calling Magic games forever. And these guys know their stuff, and they're pretty fair. They can be homerish at times, but for the most part, they're pretty good. And then, of course, our guys are fantastic, Matt and Jack, and the TSN crew handling things last night. And Sam Mitchell was in the studio, of course. And people are pretty sure Sam Mitchell has a couple before he comes on the air. We just say this: still need to figure out our offense. And hang on, let me see. It jumped ahead. Let me make sure I get this. Still need to figure out our offense. Wow, you guys filled it up. This is awesome. Uh, and match up against physical teams. They got 17 3-pointers versus 7 for us. I'm including BI. He got 35 points. Yeah, this is the key stat to me. And I said it yesterday. I said, whichever team hits more threes is going to win this game. And unfortunately, we weren't hot enough to hit our threes, and they hit theirs. And that was a key factor right there. That was it right there. The extra points from the threes. And, we even got to the free throw line more than the other team, which, I'm not going to say the refs were against us because they were putting us on the line. We're fine. It was more that, we just couldn't hit threes like they did. All right, let me go do the stars of the game. Of course, there's only 3 stars of the game in a loss. And the number one star is definitely Brandon Ingram. In 35 minutes, he had 35 points. 13 of 23 shooting, which is absolutely fantastic. 4 of 8 from 3. So he's shooting 50% out there, 5 of 7 at the free throw line. He did miss that one free throw because of Stuff the Magic Dragon. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 0 turnovers, a block and a steal of -13. Yeah, it's too bad they just didn't get the W. These kind of stat lines are fantastic stat lines on teams like the Pelicans when nobody else shows up and helps you and you lose still. That's the kind of energy about this. Is like this is a Pelicans game where they don't see it through and win, but Brandon gets almost 40, you know? But kudos to Brandon Ingram. In some ways, you're the only guy I'm giving a pass for last night because you're outstanding on offense. And like I said, there was one play in particular where Brandon had the ball out at the 3-point line and he did a Kobe move. And it looked exactly like what Kobe would do. And, ESPN fans watching that game, regular NBA fans will see Brandon Ingram last night. And they'll be back on like the train, like saying, oh, I forgot how he is. He got it. He's like that. Oh my gosh, Brandon is like that. There was a lot of that last night. Trust me. Neutral, impartial fans of the NBA that are not Magic or Raptors fans. There were a lot of people that watched Brandon Ingram last night and they're like, holy shit, I'd forgotten how good he is. And they're kind of like, oh, wow, look at that. Wow, look how smooth that shot was and how his footwork and what he just did there. There was a lot of that. I'm telling you right now. And if anything, eyes were opened up on Brandon and that he's back and he's who he is. And eyes were opened up on Scotty and his defensive prowess. And maybe some of the things about our team and the way we play hard and we pass around. Those things were put on display last night. My second star of the game is Scotty, even though he frustrated the hell out of me by disappearing in the fourth quarter. Scotty, you do so much during the game. You've got to remember, you've got to be 4 quarters of it. You got to be all 48 minutes. And if you're not making an impact in the fourth quarter where we're getting outscored 44-21, you got to do something about that, man. You let that other team score 44 points on y'all in the last frame, and y'all couldn't score jack shit and got outscored, doubled up in that quarter, just like the third quarter against the Knicks on Wednesday. This is a troubling trend. And in some ways, Scotty, you're the most powerful player on the Raptors because you can affect the game on both ends, and you need to. You need to, and you need to step up, and you need to recognize when somebody like Bane is starting to do something like what he's doing, you need to do something. I will give you some credit on how you guarded Banchero last night. I felt like you did a fantastic job in the first half on Paulo, and there was a lot of good work there, and you definitely did, like Kendrick Perkins said, want that smoke, and you did come out there and give Paulo that smoke with your defense and different things. But once again, I get it. You're unselfish. I get it. Defense comes first, but you need to fucking start getting aggressive with your offense. I'm sorry, man. You're wasting your life if you don't try and do this to an extent. Once again, I'll say this, Scotty Barnes. You're being selfish by being unselfish. Figure that one out. Seriously, you're being selfish by being unselfish. In some ways, your ego is about being this unselfish guy, this Magic Johnson guy. In some ways, that's egotistical because you're hurting the team without going into it. This is the thing you got to understand. Irvin Johnson, when he had to, he would take over the game and go get 40 to 50 points. So don't give me this crap. I want to be like Magic and be an unselfish player and be like that. No, Magic knew when to be the big guy and go out and take over the game and win it for his team. That was part of what made him so special. So you need to realize this, Scott. Sometimes it's not selfish for you to be selfish because you're coming to get the team win for everybody. So remember that, please. Jeez, man. 36 minutes for Scott, 19 points on 7 of 12 shooting. He missed all 3 of his threes, 5 of 7 at the free throw line. See, he missed a couple of free throws because it was crazy in there. I'm telling you, the crowd was a factor. 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 2 turnovers, 4 blocks, and a +6. It's a fantastic game in a lot of ways. But once again, he did not get to 20 points. He hits 2 of those free throws. One of those free throws he does, and I'll lay off him a little bit more. But you got to help Brandon, bro. Brandon can't do all of it. You need to come up and be second banana in scoring next to him. And if you scored 30 also last night, maybe we win last night. Seriously, Scott, that's all it takes. The offense is stagnating. You take the ball to the fucking paint and you throw it in just like that inbounds pass that had 2 seconds left. And we were just about to have a shot clock violation. What did they do? They threw it to you right next to the basket and nobody could stop you. You just put it in the basket. You can do this whenever you want. So why don't you do this, Scott? Get selfish. Seriously, man. My third star of the game is Jacoby. Jacoby went from completely cold to hot. Last game, he was 0 for 6 against the Knicks. Absolute disaster. Totally inconsistent. And then last night, woo-wee, Jacoby was on it. And Jacoby was playing well off the bench. 16 minutes, 13 points for young Walter. 5 of 6 from the field. Only missed 1 shot. Made his 3. Made both his free throws. 3 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 turnover, a +13. So Jacoby Walter was definitely a winning factor. And some of the Raptors fans are saying, why the hell didn't he play more at the end of the game? And I'm with them. Why the hell didn't he play more? Darko's rotation was weird, man. He really limited the minutes for the bench if they weren't doing well. Grady came out for 1 stint in the first half. He was not doing well. He was getting beat, some stupid stuff, and he never saw the court again for the rest of the game. Jacoby, on the other hand, played pretty well in the first half, but we barely saw him in the second still, which is too bad. I don't like how Darko totally overdoted on the starters last night. I think that in some ways we needed help in the scoring punch from the bench, but how the hell are they supposed to score if you're not going to play any of them? You basically played a 7-man rotation, really. I mean, we'll say 8 with Sandro, Jamal, Jacoby, and those guys. Oshai came out just to stand up for Emmanuel, and Grady was out there, and he got an 0 for in 7 minutes. He took 1 shot. It was a 3, and he missed it. An open 3. Yeah, it's annoying. It's annoying. We'll go over the rest of the guys. Maybe I'll give an honorable mention to Colin Murray-Boyles. He was a mixed bag. Colin pissed me off last night. He pissed me off, but he also made me proud too. It was like both ways. It's like sometimes Colin on certain plays was pissing me off, and sometimes he was absolutely making me beaming with pride. It's like it's all over the place. He's a rookie, and in some ways he's still learning stuff. And Doug Smith said this on Blue Skies last night during the game. He said this is one of the few games this year where Colin Murray-Boyles looked like he was a little bit out of his league as a rookie. Like welcome an NBA moment. He hasn't had many of these this year. He's been very steady and applied to the NBA really well so far, like as a rookie. But last night, there was a little bit of times where he looked like he was a little bit having rookie problems, rookie issues. And one of the biggest things that pissed me off about Colin Murray-Boyles last night is he didn't dunk the ball. There were 3 situations last night, Colin, where you would have made the basket if you had gone up aggressively and thrown it down. And this is a lesson all young players have to go through and learn. Jonathan Bobo went through it last year, where it's like, look, you're near the basket. You have a shot that you can make. You need to go up and throw it down. You can't pussyfoot around. You can't try and do a little, this. They're going to hit you. It's going to go off. And it's not going to go in. You need to make sure it goes in. And because of the talent you have, your hops, your strength, you need to rise up and just throw it down on their heads. There were 2 times at least down low where you fumbled. One of them, the first one, you were kind of in an awkward position underneath the basket. It wasn't the ideal place to be. But I've seen you snake your arms around people and get the ball sneakily in. There was a point where you were right under the basket. You should have thrown it through the basket like a dunk, but you tried to lay it up and it didn't go in. That's what I'm saying, Colin. If you get the ball and you're that close to the basket, you need to elevate and throw it down. Because this league this isn't college where you can get away with a layup or just half-ass lazy. No, you need to get aggressive and jump your ass off the ground and dunk that fucking ball through the hoop. Make sure it goes through because you're like that. You have that size and strength and that dunking abilities. Your hands are fantastic. So just do it. Just do it. There were at least 2 times you had that. There was another time where you had the ball in the lane and you could have easily just put the ball in the hoop, but you passed it out to somebody for a 3-point shot. I'm like, bro, you're right there. You can make the high percentage shot right there. The Raptors just need baskets. We don't necessarily need the 3 because we don't shoot the 3 very well. So this rule about kicking it out when you've got position in the lane, it needs to stop with the Raptors. Darko, stop doing this. The 3-point shot is not good for us. We need to take the meat and potatoes in the lane and just take the 2s that we can get because we're getting outscored over the course of the game by stagnating for 5 minutes because we're taking 3s too much. And meanwhile, we got stuff on the table to eat down low that we ain't going to take, whether it's Scotty Barnes or Colin Murray-Boyles. Seriously, I'm sick of this overimportance for the 3. We can't do this with our team. We're not built like that. We need to be more fundamental, retro, old school basketball team that is the 2's fine. This philosophy of like you get the ball into the basket, you're in the paint, and you have position instead of pump faking and trying to get the defender off you and put it in right there. You're throwing it right out and conceding all the work of getting the ball into the lane in that territory and getting a paint touch. It's pissing me off. It's pissing me off. We're not like this. Until we're a good 3-point shooting team, the philosophy of the Raptors should not be to kick it back out for the 3. You need to take that meat and potatoes in the basket, near the basket, because y'all ain't making 3s. And I'm sick of this shit. One thing I'll say about Colin glowingly is this man has hands that are crazy. They inbound the ball. The Magic inbound the ball. Colin just sticks his hand up. He just snatches it out of the air. And then all of a sudden, it's our ball. No, he's fantastic. And the more knowledgeable about the NBA game, the individual players in the league, Colin Murray-Boyles is going to pay off more and more and more, and he's exponentially going to get better. He's already fantastic. He's going to get better and better. And he's got to clean up these rookie mistakes. He's got to start dunking it, and we'll be fine. Yeah, man, I'll give him an honorable mention. RJ Barrett was rough at times last night, but the spirit and competitor that RJ is fantastic. He didn't look totally good at the beginning. He had some bad turnovers, missed some shots. But, this is part of RJ. We just have to – once again, the thing about Quickly and Barrett is they're not perfect people. But they are fantastic NBA players that are going to help you win more often than not. But sometimes they're going to be a turnover. Sometimes there's going to be a missed shot. Sometimes there's going to be a knuckleheaded thing that happens. They're not perfect. Nobody is. And in some ways, we got to understand that. We'll look at his stat line. 31 minutes for RJ, 16 points on 6 of 14 shooting, missed all 5 of his 3s. That's the thing, man. We had a bunch of these guys that went 0 for 3s. RJ 0 for 5, Scotty 0 for 3, Sandro 0 for 3, Jamal missed the only one he took, and so did Grady. So we had 3 guys last night that made 3s, and Jacoby made the only one he took. Brandon was 50% for 4 of 8, and Emmanuel was 2 for 6, which, that's 7 3s, and they made 17 3s on the Magic side. It's tough, man. RJ also 4 for 5 at the free throw line. He made them when they counted later. 3 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 turnovers, 1 steal, a -9. And then Emmanuel, 33 minutes, 13 points on 5 of 13 shooting, 2 of 6 from 3, 1 of 3 from the free throw line. Those 2 misses by Emmanuel at the free throw line were off of that flagrant foul. And in some ways, that was a ball don't lie moment. And I hated it. I was like, Emmanuel, you got to make those free throws because Desmond Bain absolutely flagrant fouled you. But then you missed the free throws. And then Desmond can talk his trash saying, oh, ball don't lie, ball don't lie. He said that literally to Emmanuel when he missed the first free throw at the line. And then he missed the second one. And I'm like, what the fuck, Emmanuel? You don't miss free throws. That's what I'm saying. The crowd and the atmosphere in the arena was kind of messing with the Raptors. It was a little bit DR DeRozan. Let's just put it that way. And man, I wish he had made those free throws. 7 rebounds for Emmanuel as a guard, 6 assists, 1 turnover, 1 steal, a -16. Sure, I say Scotty, RJ, Emmanuel, Grady, even Jacoby. All y'all should have gotten 20. We needed any one of y'all to get 20. And if any of y'all had gone and gotten 20, you would have helped Brandon, and maybe the Raptors would have won. We just needed y'all to step up and get a little bit better than that because the other side was getting their 20s, and you guys weren't. You guys weren't. Sandro, 8 points off the bench, 24 minutes, 1 of 4, 0 for 3 from 3. As I said, he made all 6 of his free throws, though. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 0 turnovers, and 2 steals, a -8. It's a solid bench line. In some ways, we expect more from him, though, than this. 1 for 4 is not good shooting for Sandro. Abaji, as I said, came out and got that technical foul, basically defending Emmanuel after that play. I love that him standing up for him. People said that Abaji's soft. Nah, man, he's going to get in people's faces. And people are saying we don't have an enforcer. No, we have a lot of different guys that will enforce things in a moment's notice. And Abaji's a strong dude. And kudos to him for being a good teammate and getting in that situation. I kind of wish that Darko had played Abaji more. I feel like he could have, that may have been a fail. It's like, oh, you're going to play him for 3 minutes in the first quarter and the first half, and then you don't see him for the second half when we're getting killed offensively. I mean, could this be part of the difference, Darko? That in the first half, we only let them score 50 points for the whole entire first half, the Magic. And then in the second half, they scored 80 points, and Ochai Abaji didn't play in the second half. Like, seriously, that's a big difference. You held them to 50 in the first half, the first 2 quarters, and then they went off for 80 in the last 2 quarters. I'm just saying. Jamal Shed was bad last night. Infamous was right. He was frustrating. And there's a post on Reddit this morning saying that, guys, Jamal Shed's not ready to be a starter in this league. And that's something I've been saying this year. He's not ready to be a starter. Everybody thinking that Emmanuel's expendable because we can just graduate Jamal Shed to be the starting point guard. No, he's not ready. He's not ready. And we see this. 21 minutes, 4 points on 2 of 4 shooting. Missed his only 3. 1 rebound, 4 assists, 0 turnovers, a -4 for Jamal Shed. It's just that, once again, he's a guy who could step up and have an offensive impact on the game. But he's not doing it. He's not doing it. Grady Dick, 7 minutes, 0 points. Took 1 3, missed it, got 2 rebounds, an assist, and a turnover, and a -1. Just once again, the Jayhawks were just not come back to, and we didn't know what they were going to do. I don't mind them not playing Grady in the second half, but Ochai, you should have played. You should have played. Grady, in some ways, was exposed in this game last night again as being like a weakness. And in some ways, that's part of the reason why he couldn't play longer than 7 minutes last night. On the other side, let me give kudos to the 20-point scorers. 32 for Desmond Bain on 11-15 shooting. He was the star of the game. He was the catalyst. He was the leader. He was the difference maker. He was the big dog on the court. Brandon was very fantastic, but it wasn't enough. And then also on their team, 25 points from Anthony Black. A lot of that came later. And from the free throw line, they were really doting on Anthony Black to get to the line and get fouled with what he was doing. And then you had 23 points by Wendell Carter Jr., which is something that should not have happened in any kind of way, because that's Wendell Carter Jr. What the fuck are y'all letting him get 23 points? You're letting Wendell Carter Jr. outscore you, Scotty. In some ways, you need to look at yourself personally and say, whoa, wait a second. This is Wendell Carter Jr. He's outscoring you, Scott. You should never let Wendell Carter Jr. outscore you. You should have some more pride about you outscoring your opponent, Scotty Barnes. Be selfish. I'm telling you right now. And then at 20 points from Paulo. Paulo wasn't even that impressive, but he ended up getting 20 points by the end. And it's not like Paulo was the main driver of them winning, but he contributed his part and getting the 20 points there. So you got four Orlando starters that all scored 20 plus points. Yeah, that's a problem right there. That's a problem. That's a big, big problem. All right, let me see. Getting back into the chat with you guys. Let's see. Fiercey's saying this. Scotty's displayed solidified him being in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. He was amazing yesterday. 4 blocks, also scored 19 points. Very fitting night after that ESPN interview. I wish he'd done more. Sure, he looked impressive in the middle of the game, but he disappeared at the end of the game. He was Where's Waldo in the fourth quarter. And I hate that. That's when he's got to show up, man. That's right. Isaac's saying awesome to Fiercey about Fiercey Jr.'s game. At least a W was had. That's right. Yeah, I'm sick of losing. This 905 losing streak's pissing me off. And now the Raptors have these 2 games that they've lost since they come back on the road trip. And it's annoying. We need to beat the Jazz tomorrow. I'll have the latest lineup news and the ref report tomorrow morning, 9:30 for Utah Jazz, 6 p.m. at Scotiabank Arena tomorrow night. Yeah, we got beat them. That's right. Thank you to Isaac. Fiercely saying Desmond Bane is so erratic. Good offensive weapon when he's locked in, but he needs to watch out with his on-court antics. Shoving IQ like a rag doll was not necessary. Yeah, the follow-through was what made that a flagrant, and it was egregiously a flagrant, for sure. For sure. I mean, I wouldn't get mad at Abaji. I mean, I get why they give him a technical because they don't want any kind of fracases or anything like that. But I commend Shai Abaji for being Johnny on the spot to get over there like that. And Manuel got up on his feet real quick and got in his face too. Also, it's too extra. Manuel's a lighter player because he's a point guard. And these guys are strong. And if you're in the air and you don't have control of yourself and you can get manipulated and moved because somebody's pushing you through the air, that's dangerous. And that's what that was. That's what it was. And the reaction of Abaji and Emmanuel was justified. Brett Bernecki's a lawyer, though. And in some ways, the replay center and the referees are going to say, no, but we don't want you coming and getting in people's faces and shoving people, too. You know, Desmond Bane's not erratic. That's not the right word for him. He was very solid last night. You can't say, I mean, is he erratic from game to game where he goes up and down? No, I don't see that. He was very solid, very, very solid last night. Yeah. Trevor's saying this: Orlando did not want to get swept by us, but still win the series 3-1. That's not right. That's not right. Trevor, you got the games all mixed up, man. You're getting the Heat games mixed up with the Magic games. This is only the second time we played the Magic this year, and we are 1-1 with them. We will play the Magic one more time in Toronto this season, and it will be the third game, final game against the Magic, and that will determine who wins the series. As of right now, it's 1-1. Toronto won the first one last fall, and Orlando won the second one last night. You're getting the Miami Heat games confused with the Magic games. We've only played them twice, and the series is at 1-1 currently. So we need to win the next one so we can win the season series for playoff implications. Yeah, Wayne's saying this. Good morning, Raptor Freaks. It's 50 games in, and our teams are just tired, both physically and mentally. Their mistakes late in the games are mental with weak, transparent passes. Let's carry them to season break. Well, that's the great thing. The month of February is allowing for rest. It's interesting. Like I said, we have 10 games in February. There's 28 days in February. That means a game every 3 days, right? That's about the average, right? Maybe a little less because it's 28 days. And the All-Star break's in the middle of it, right? So the All-Star break is going to be a break for them regardless. But not only that, I mean, it's kind of it sucks because they did this to the Raptors. They front-loaded our team with more games than other teams. We have more total games played in the NBA than most of the other NBA teams because they compacted a whole bunch in the part of the season we've already gone through. And, you know, some other teams have them more spread out in different ways. And the part of it is because the All-Star break is coming up, there's a natural break for everybody. They're giving us some of our natural breaks in our schedule that we would have around the All-Star break also. So it's like we're going to get extra time off around this month. And in some ways, I think that's fishy as fuck. I wish that was more spread out in certain ways. But alas, it is what it is. The schedule's been mostly really great for the Raptors this year in a lot of ways. And so I won't complain too much. But it would be ideal if they could spread out the extra days off that a team gets, a limited amount of extra days off, more over the course of the season instead of putting a bunch of them in February when we're already getting the All-Star break also. It's kind of annoying. Danny, the electrician's back in the chat this morning. Good morning, Danny. We got too comfortable with the lead. Yeah. And they had a lot of gumption to come get us. And, they did a couple of different things the right way. And we had all kinds of different things go wrong at the wrong time, at the wrong possible time. For sure. Blackhawks got the dogs out this morning. Who let the dogs out? Rob's here. Good to see Rob. Good morning, Rob. Good morning, Raptor Freak family. At least the Cavs lost, so we still keep our 4th spot in the standings. Yes, there was a bit of time last night where we fell down into the 5th spot in the playoff picture because Cavaliers had not lost their game yet, but they did lose later on. Thank goodness. And that's pretty interesting to me. Let's see. Where is it? Right here. We had they lost to the Cavs lost last night to Phoenix, I believe. Yeah, Phoenix beat the Cavs in Phoenix, and it was a later game, and that's why we didn't know until later. We have the same record as the Cavs, 29 and 21, and but we swept them for the season series, so we sit above them. So that's once again why these series matter. If you beat a team or not, it matters, right? Now the Knicks and the Celtics are tied because the Knicks have been winning again, and they came back up and they've tied the record with the Boston Celtics. They have the same record right now, 30 and 18. So, yeah, it's still close up. Philadelphia's a game and a half behind us. But, yeah, Cleveland's the team we're messing around with that's close to us right now, and we need to watch out. And I don't want to lose home court advantage in the first round of the playoffs. I'd like to stay 4th or better in the league. But thank goodness they did lose later. Good to see you, Rob. Good to see you in the chat. All right, let's keep going. Let's see. Blackhawks saying Darko can't always bail team out with the timeouts. So point guards and vets need to settle down the team when hemorrhaging points. Get the playmaking working for you. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know, man. That last quarter was so confusing, and it really was kind of a weird flurry of things. The Raptors were doing their best when we were able to get in transition last night. That was really when we had our bursts and our really good runs, is when we would get a steal and we'd run back the other way. Well, they had a little bit of that later with some of our half-ass passes leading to them getting on good runs. So this really is important to take care of the ball and limit turnovers, because you get the other team running the other way. It goes both ways, whether it's the Raptors benefiting from it or hurt from it because, the Magic are doing it to us. So it's a little bit annoying right there. Rob's saying we need Yak back post All-Star break. I agree with that. I mean, I'd love to have him back tomorrow. We could have him back tomorrow. That'd be fantastic too, right? Isaac's saying this, with the exception of Brandon, in the first half, we missed threes, and yet we still controlled the pace. The second half, we missed threes, and we just got exposed. Grady played more minutes in December versus Orlando, back here in Toronto when we played him here. Yeah, I mean, we had a better, more team effort the first time we played Orlando, and that was part of the big success, because that game was interesting. In some ways, it's like a flip of this game. We were down by like 20 against the Magic in the first game against them, and we came back and flipped the script on them by the end of the game. And the game last night, it wasn't that we had a 20-point lead on them, but we did have like an 11-point lead or 14-point lead at certain times. And then they flipped the script and came back on us. So it was kind of the inverse of the first game when we played the Magic here in Toronto, that we were down big, and it was an impressive win because we came back from down 20 in the second half to beat them by the end of the game. So it's pretty interesting. Isaac's saying Darko needed to play deeper. Yeah, I would agree with that. Especially if these starter guys aren't going to put the meaty stats out there. If y'all aren't going to all go get 20, y'all should not be playing 35 plus minutes. Seriously. And I'll say that to Scotty, Emmanuel, RJ. Seriously, if y'all gonna play that amount of minutes, you need to get 20. You need to get 20. Seriously. Wayne saying, I mentioned previously about our physicality and we disagreed. I love Mamu, but he's a softie. Most of the team is soft, and one or two players don't make it better. Jack lived on that fact last night. Yeah, I didn't hear Jack. I wasn't listening to any of the broadcasters. I just turned the volume off and just watch it. But yeah, Jack will say that we need to be tougher. And I don't know. I don't want to take that away from Sandro, the man who carried Lou Dort around on his shoulders just the other day. Yeah, I don't know. It depends on what your category for being soft or tough is. I don't think this is appropriate to say. I mean, you said that about Oshai before, and I'm like, no, I don't see that. And in some ways, I don't agree with it on Sandro either. It's just, I don't know what you mean. Do you mean toughness as far as when you're met with a challenge and you're in a situation where you may be losing the game, you're tough and you tough it out and you come back and meet that energy and beat it? Sure, that's fair. But I don't think it's fair to say that we're not tough as players as far as we can be pushed around and kind of, maybe there's times where the other team's more aggressive and physical and we kind of get run roughshod over. But I think that, there's also times where we meet that challenge and we're very physical and we're very aggressive also. So it's not like a cut and dry, this is just who we are. It's more like on this day, are we this way? Kind of thing. Neil saying Knicks and Magic turned up the intensity. We have to work on punching back. Better for us to be exposed now so we can fix it. Yeah, it's all work in progress. It's all learning. And, the NBA is wins and losses, and you're going to have to go through the journey and you're going to take whichever one you're getting. And hopefully you get the wins. But, when you get the losses, you get the tape and you learn from it and you improve and you try and get better. And that's what we got to do. These last two games are similar. They are definitely similar. I would say that. Stargate saying this. Good morning, Raptor Free crew. I didn't watch the game, but I heard the fourth quarter on the radio. However, I heard a 2 BS offensive foul non-calls on the Raps and 2 traveling non-calls on the Magic. Yeah, don't hold back, Lex. Go off. Your rants are epic. I mean, I think that there were a few plays where the Magic traveled and they did not call it. There was the one where Darko got the technical for that. Yeah, he's right. There's some extra stepping around. Desmond Bain had a travel in the lane at one point where he just I'm like, wow, how many steps are they going to let him take? I should have probably paid more closer attention to Jenna and Brent and Andy, but I decided I was just just watching the game from the perspective of it being on national television, but I should have probably watched the refs more closely. Because there was the way they'll mess us up is like they could call BS offensive fouls on us, and the crazy thing is that like if that play is kind of almost a score for us, it's really deflating because not only are you taking a basket away from us, you're putting a turnover on the player and the other team's getting the ball. It's really tough. Those offensive foul calls can be really, really, really frustrating. Let's just put it that way. Darko said our players did not match the intensity of the environment, the crowd, and the other team. And that is part of why we lost. Yeah. Yeah. Isaac's saying, I think Darko was sending a message to Bobby to find reinforcement. People keep saying this, but I don't believe this. Darko's not trying to lose on purpose or have this just to put Bobby's feet to the fire. I'm going to disagree with you, Isaac. He's just trying to play with what? Once again, Darko says every time somebody brings up the center question, would you like to have another big on your team? He said, hey, you're asking a front office question to the coach, and that's not my department. I'm not for me to say. Isaac, you think that Darko's just going to come out and say, yes, we need a center right now. What are you doing, Bobby? No, he's not going to do that because he's a company guy, and in some ways he knows his role, and in some ways he doesn't want to cause toxic, weird shit by answering a press question about whether the front office should get somebody and answering it in some ways. And then all of a sudden everybody starts writing articles about how Darko's at odds with Bobby because he wants a center and Bobby's not going to get him a center. No, he's not doing that. He's not allowing that to happen. Darko's philosophy is I have to work with who I have, whether it's from injuries or who the front office has put on my roster to use. So he's not doing what you're saying. Mr. Quasimodo, good morning. Good to see you back in the chat. Raptors played pretty well. We just let stupid things hold us back. Yeah. Like I still feel like there's certain basketball fundamentals that I learned when I was a kid that are not getting learned in everyday new nowadays players. And if they did know those basic fundamentals and basic philosophies, we'd do way better. Whether it's philosophies on fast breaks, whether it's philosophies about what I was talking about earlier, where if you get the position closer to the basket, don't concede it by tossing the ball back out for a three. I know that's in vogue in the NBA, but it goes so much against the wiring of my brain and how I was taught basketball is supposed to be played from before. Sure, the game changes, Steph Curry and all this stuff. But if your personnel is not conducive for that strategy, maybe you need to revert to the old ways of doing things in the analog days and not in the digital days. In some ways, that'll be more effective, especially if you're a team that's scrappy and can manufacture more possessions through steals and blocks and their defense. It doesn't matter if you're shooting threes like the other team. If you're taking a more volume of twos and you're making more twos, because see, that's the thing. Y'all can fucking shoot threes for a whole quarter and miss all of them and not make any points and get your ass beat. But instead, if you were going down low and getting the twos that you could get, maybe you would actually win. That's the thing that's bugging me right now, Mr. Quasimodo. It's just like, look, man, go get the points that y'all can get with your personnel and who's doing what, and stop just forcing threes when you can't make them. That's what I'm trying to say right now, man. Quasimodo's saying Raptors are dogs, and anything that allows them to implement their savage play style should be implemented. Yes, the aggressiveness, the trapping, the amazing defense of Scott as far as like getting hands and deflections and calling Murray-Boyles. And yeah, all that stuff is fantastic. Absolutely. It's the standing threes we should never allow. Exactly. Exactly. I'm sick of this shit. You guys are open, wide open. You're missing threes. We should not be a 3-point shooting team. We should not. I mean, in some ways it's necessary and you need this. In some ways we've gone and gotten guys that are supposed to be this and they're just not doing their job this year. And it sucks because I wish they were doing their job. Grady, if you were supposed to be who you are, we would be in a whole lot better mess with this. A lot better off if you were just pulling your weight for what your job description is, Grady Dick. If you were just pulling your weight on that, man, oh my gosh, a lot of our issues in some ways would be solved. You're not the only one. I mean, we can put Jameson in this too, because he has not been that great shooting his threes either this year. Oshai, his 3-point corner shot has disappeared this year. That was there last year. Jacoby's hot and cold. Some nights Jacoby's absolutely fire, like last night. And then some nights he is absolutely shit. It's just consistency. We need that consistency. We need that consistent guy. We need that Sam Hauser. We need that Georges Niang. We need that kind of shit, But we're not getting it. Kevin Herter. We need that kind of guy on our team. Grady Dick, you're supposed to be that guy. What are you doing, man? What are you doing? Fiercely saying, agree with Infamous. Getting another big at this point will not overcome the offensive issues. We need consistency. There's that scoop shot Bane does perfectly well. He scored a lot using it. The thing is, we've got problems on both ends. We've got the lack of the center for defensive and rebounding purposes, and then we've got the offensive stagnation problem with our bad shooting. So both need to be addressed in different ways. And I don't know if that's like trading people to get better, consistent, dependable shooters. Because that's what I was saying yesterday. Is like we keep the starters and we go and get better bench players that are going to hit their threes. And we just need a dude off the bench that's going to hit threes. That should have been Grady. And we will be much better off. We get a backup center and we get shooters. If these guys that are supposed to be shooters on our team aren't going to be shooters, hasta la vista, baby. We'll get somebody else that'll come in and do the job since y'all are failing. Seriously, because that's the way I look at it right there. There's two different issues. One of them's a size issue with rebounding, and then the other one is a shooting issue on the offense. Yeah. So our players need to master one of two specific moves and execute whenever Bane is in the paint. I know he's going to do it, and he does. Well, Bane's an offensive weapon just like RJ, and they are sneaky and crafty. and they will be able to try and use footwork and timing and fakes and stuff, or the glass, to try and get the shot around the outstretched defensive arm. They're just good scorers. That's all. Stargate saying this, but they can't match the physicality if the league isn't allowing the referees to call the game fairly. This is a good point by Stargate, and that's part of the frustration is, the Magic can get away with way, way more, just like the Knicks on Wednesday. And the Raptors are trying. That's part of the thing. When people, like when Jack says something about the toughness about the Raptors, he needs to take into account maybe the whistle's not totally impartial, and that that makes that kind of is part of the way that the NBA head office will enforce storylines, is by having a very unfair whistle and trying to close in on one team from being able to defend themselves because they're getting overly called for fouls in some ways. Sure, that is a way that things happen. Now, I'm not going to say specifically this is what happened totally last night, because I don't see the exact evidence of it, but it is something that's underlying and definitely is utilized by the referees in the NBA to hurt particular teams and help the other team. Give them a free pass, give them a get out of jail free card like Monopoly, and then the other team's getting penalized like they're the big criminals, and it doesn't matter what they did. They could breathe on the other team, and they're getting a foul called on them. Quasimodo's saying, the refs were babying the Magic as well. See, and this is what we're talking about right here. This is what we're talking about right here. That's right. Neil's saying the threes weren't properly contested. Magic got enough separation to get off their shots. You got to acknowledge when you lose your coverage and do better. That's some cases true, but not all of them. It's like Infamous said earlier, Bane was hitting his shots with hands in his face and closeouts. And Darko did say this after the game, that he felt like we were closing out and doing a good job on some of it, but he just made really hard shots. Give him the credit. He made really hard shots and he balled out, and he hit some big shots late. And in the fourth quarter, Desmond Bane outscored the Raptors by himself, I think. Seriously. It's like he outscored our whole team by himself in his own personal points in the fourth quarter. That's disgusting. That's messed up. Scotty, where's your fucking pride, man? You let one dude outscore your whole team in the fourth quarter, man. That's crazy to me, man. It's crazy. Fiercely saying, like Scotty, IQ almost had a double-double. Yeah, the 7 rebounds. IQ's always pretty good for getting a lot of rebounds. I'm proud of him for that. Mr. Quasimodo saying, love you, Raptors Nation. We, the fans, will do our best. That's right. We still stand with the team. If somebody's like, oh, now they're gone, crap, I don't want to watch them for the rest of the season. Casual, get the hell out of here. You're not going to ride or die with the Raptors. Well, get out of the car. We don't want you riding with us. Neil's saying this. Understand how you lost the lead chasing three-point shots when you were successful in the paint. To me, that is a mental breakdown. I pasted the Isaiah interview in the Discord yesterday. Okay, cool. Yeah, I mean, this is kind of what I was just saying, is like, why are we doting so much on threes when we're not a good three-point shooting team? Let's start pounding the paint and dominating inside more, because we could do that to an extent with Scotty and Colin. And even like RJ gets in there and bullies around. And, there's a lot of good stuff that we could do more of instead of like doting so much on the three, which is a dead end to me. Honestly, until we start shooting, making them better. People would say, you got to shoot them though, Lex. This is just how the league demands it. What are you talking about? We can't shoot threes. How the hell are we going to beat teams? They're going to outscore us. Threes make more than twos. I get that. But on 5 trips, we miss 5 threes. What the fuck? We're not getting any points. So why don't we go in and get the twos at least? Seriously, that's what I'm trying to say here. Wayne's saying this, infamous, most logical call yet. Physicality and Jamal shed. Jamal has hit a wall naturally. He works extremely hard and basically just wants a season break. Fact is, independent of data, he's tired. That may be true. That may be a very good point by Wayne, that Shed might have just hit a wall in his energy right now, because it has been a grind. And he has been playing very heavy minutes this season. He's been playing a lot. So, yeah, this could be true. This could be true. Yeah, Quasimodo's saying those refs fucked up everything. Yeah, they're goofy, man. I mean, Scotty was getting mad at them at different times. It is what it is. I think that Bernecki, he was pretty fair with his demeanor and the way he was calling things in some ways. but there's an underlying thing that's going on. And I don't trust that the refs have the headsets on now. It's funny. The Orlando announcers were saying, well, they were coming over the table to do reviews. Jeff Turner said to Steele, he said, you should have ordered a fast food order from Andy Nagy. Because they look like they work in a drive-through with the little headset. That's what the Orlando Magic announce crew was cracking on them, saying we could have ordered some coffee and like a McMuffin. They were trolling them so good. I thought it was funny, man. I was like, yeah, that's pretty funny, Jeff Turner. Neil saying this: history repeating itself. Get rid of Isaiah, then you get rid of Masai. The thing with Masai is different, though. The thing with Masai is a personal grudge and a lot different in some ways. But maybe in some ways it is true. Maybe it is. There are shades that are kind of similar. Maybe, yeah. Yeah. Isaac's saying no swearing Sunday, Mr. Quasimodo. Oh, wait, it's Saturday. Please keep swearing. Please keep swearing. Okay, it's like we have no swearing Sunday and please keep swearing Saturday. All right, I'm all about this. All right, Isaac, you're hilarious, man. All right, Isaac Campbell, you're going to Dominique Wilkins 21. We've seen a picture. Actually, I want to go do the Instagram stories because this made me think of this. First of all, Fred VanVleet was out last night with his co-host of the Unguarded podcast, Quez, and they were watching Dirty Boxing. They won't show what they were watching, but it looked like it was a hoot and a good time. So Freddie was out there watching Dirty Boxing. I'm wondering if it was like naked boxing with women, or was it just like guys fighting very dirty, like gouging eyeballs and kicking in the nuts and stuff like that? I don't know. What is dirty boxing? That's what I'm wondering. Kyle Lowry's on the bench on his Instagram. He's sitting with an old person who has a hat that says old person. I don't know what's going on there. Kyle, are you at the Philadelphia game? Why are you... What is this? You're at the Breeze game. Oh, is he at a Unrivaled game? Is he at a women's basketball game? Is that where he is? I couldn't figure it out. There's Pascal. He had a photo montage of him. It's been cold, is what he's saying there. And this is why I wanted to go look at the Instagram, because one of the pictures of Siakam is him with Dominique Wilkins. And Dominique Wilkins is number 21 of the Atlanta Hawks. And the Hawks and the Pacers played just recently. And man, the picture to me was really interesting because these guys are kind of like similar, very similar. You know, Siakam is an exceptional scorer in the NBA, and Dominique, from his time in the NBA in his era, was similar level of scorer. Like, you know, these guys are unstoppable, and they have a whole lot of different interesting things that are similar, like spin moves and things like that. And I could tell, you know, Dominique Wilkins probably looks at Siakam as one of the guys in the league that he identifies with the most, as far as from his history and his player profile from his NBA career himself. That, you know, he sees the artistry and the mastery of the scorer that Siakam has become, and he has to love it and respect it. So I bet that there's a really interesting respect and friendship between Siakam and Wilkins, Dominique Wilkins. Because if you really think about it, in some ways, Pascal is that kind of player like Dominique. He really is. He's that kind of player. And obviously, he has the respect of the human highlight reel, which is pretty cool to me. It's pretty cool. Let's see what else we got. Free agency is opening this weekend for the Canadian Elite Basketball League. Let's see what kind of moves happen in our Canadian Basketball League. That's right. Let's see what else we got. Fisherman Friends is all over Matt Devlin. He's hoarding that stuff. Like he's got to get it all while he can. Oh, Matt Devlin with your Fisherman's Friend. That's so crazy. Let's see. Is there anything else on here I want to talk about? I don't think so. Young Och is putting on blast. Oshai wants you to follow his guys Icky Suave, Mixed by Meech, and Lemrick. They dropped some fire. So check out those guys. The song's called Broadway. He wants to put it on blast. It's Chris Boucher saying no weapon shall prosper against me. And he had Russell Westbrook coming at him to say something because he hit a 3 at the end of this game that they had against Sacramento last night. And Russell took exception to it. It was a little bit like the Tristan Thompson dunk in Toronto. He's like, why are you showing us up? Why are you doing that? And it was funny because Boucher told Russell, he's like, man, I've been on the bench since December. I haven't gotten to play until today, and I don't have no points. I need points, man. And then he told Russell that, and he's like, okay, all right, you need points. And he wasn't so mad at him after that, and they were cool. So that was pretty interesting. All right, there's your Instagram stories for today. Siakam with Wilkins. I think that's pretty cool, man. I think that's pretty cool. Neil's saying Wagner is back, which is why Magic didn't play Goga. No, they're not playing Goga because they've officially announced he's on the trading block. And a lot of times when you're putting guys up for trade, you don't play them as much. It could be also part of the reason why Oshai barely played last night, only played 3 minutes. No, this has been publicly declared that Goga is available. And around this time of year, when certain players are not involved or in the rotation, it's usually because they're not putting out there because they a risk of injury. So that is what's up. But yeah, Mo Wagner is back, but that's not exactly why Goga didn't play. You could actually make a case that Goga's a better option than Mo Wagner to play. Neil's saying this: we got to stop over dramatizing coverage. The ball goes up. One will win, one will lose. It's a rinse and repeat league. There will be coverage again as the franchise isn't folding. On to the next game. Yeah, but it's not dramatizing it. It's part of the perception war that I talk about on this channel. It's a very main theme that we talk about is how are the Raptors perceived in the United States? And when we get our one game on the national television, this kind of thing happens. So this is very valid to talk about. It's not we got to stop dramatizing this. It's just that we got to talk about the truth. And it's like these guys got up to play to an extent, but they didn't get up to play to finish the game and win it out. And we look bad in some ways in front of the US audience. And I hate that because they don't watch us at all season. And the one chance they do actually watch us, we fumble a loss. And we fumble the game, and it sucks. It sucks. I hate it. So you can say we got to stop over dramatizing. I'm not over dramatizing it. I'm calling it as it is. This is a national spotlight game, and the Raptors need to make us look good because in some ways that was part of the secret with Vince. We got our first game on NBC on a Sunday afternoon against the Phoenix Suns, and Vince Carter dropped 50 and won the game. And boy, did his legend explode. That's the problem right there, Neil. Is because Scotty Barnes could have started his legend last night if he had gone above and beyond. If he had dropped 50 and won the game against the Magic on ESPN on a Friday night, the league would be going crazy right now talking about him and going crazy about him. That's what I'm saying, Scott. Quit wasting your life and get out there and do what you're supposed to do to win the game. And that's sometimes being selfish. I'm just going to say that, especially if Darko's going to shorten up the rotation and there's only going to be like 70 y'all actually playing, you need to fucking go get 40, Scott. I'm sorry. That's just how it is, man. And you got to look at your predecessors. Vince Carter, look at how he became one of the biggest stars in the league. You want to be one of the biggest stars in the league? You need to take your spotlight when you get it and run with it, my guy. And you showed some great stuff on defense in the middle of the game, but you didn't get the job done. And I'm telling you right now, Scotty, if you had scored 40 and won that game last night, they would be talking you guys up so crazy today. But alas, y'all fumbled. You dropped the ball. And now the narrative can be, well, the Raptors are winning more this year, but they still suck. And they still won't win anything. And they're not as good as the Knicks and maybe not even as good as the Magic. You know, that's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. You got the attention, you better show them, is what I'm saying. Let's see. There are still 30-plus games to go, and we can get better for sure. For sure. We get to the playoffs and gain the experience we are lacking and get better for the next season. We're going to build. This is what we're doing. We're definitely building, and it's every step is important and essential, whether it's success or failure. It's all important. That's right. HC's here, the one defeated. Good morning to the one defeated. Rise and shine. No idea how they collapsed like that crazy. Orlando is just too physical. Bully teams like that always throw us off. Due to an injured hand, Colin Murray-Boyles is unable to handle and slam the ball as usual. You think that's it, but that's not, I don't know if that's true, man. That guy's ambidextrous. I don't give a shit if his right hand's messed up. Dunk it with your left. Go it with both hands. Why on that? You know, no, this is an excuse. He's out there and he can play. He needs to dunk the ball. And this is like common with rookies. Like I said, Jonathan had the same thing last year. He's pussyfooting around the basket, and at a certain point, he started ferociously dunking it down because he understood that's what they were telling him. Well, somebody's got to tell Colin the same thing right now, is that you got to be ferocious. You got to take that shit up and throw it through the hoop. And you can't pussyfoot around and miss bunnies in traffic. They're not going to let you try and get that easy. So you need to use your whole strength and jump up and dunk it, because you missed some baskets you could have gotten for us, and you've gotten in the past that I've seen you get, and I know he can do. That's what I'm saying, man. That's what I'm saying. Neil saying CMB has to push past the pain. If it's bothering him, then he should take the shot to freeze it like Lowry did during our championship run. Well, it's not the part of the season where he should be doing that kind of extreme stuff. If it is that serious, maybe he should be sitting still, is what I would say. This is not the time of the year to take shots of cortisone just to go out and go for one night like that. That's not the smartest thing. That's not going to get him somewhere in like 2 months from now. It's going to be a mess. Now, on the end run, like Kyle did for the championship run, that makes sense because you're in the playoffs and that. But you're in the regular season, it's not worth doing that kind of stuff. It's not good, man. It's not good. Jimmy's here. Good morning, Jimmy. Bad game management at the end. That could be argued. I could say that. I mean, I feel like Darko maybe had a dud as far as his coaching and what he did to motivate the team or get them right. I think that a lot of things were spiraling out of control all of a sudden, whether it's Desmond Bain waking up and getting in a groove and getting on fire, whether it's the referees being shady and kind of screwy with their calls, whether it was the crowd getting amped up and becoming a part of the scenery and engaged in the game in a way that was actually, because Darko admitted this. He said that the crowd actually was a factor last night and threw our guys off late. So, it's tough, man. It's tough. Neil's saying Raptors can shoot. They just didn't do the work to get separation, including RJ. He just doesn't have his rhythm back, so he should have kept driving. He can kick out if paint is too crowded. Yeah, you can kick out if that's the case, but I'm often seeing guys kicking out and there's nobody near, though. And all they need to do is elevate and take a little easy 5-foot, 10-foot shot. That's what's annoying me, is that they're such quick decision making. They're just throwing it out to the three without even realizing they have the shot right there. It's annoying me, man. It's really, really annoying. Jimmy's saying, I love Shed, but him out there alone kills our spacing. At least even if IQ isn't hitting, he's still a threat of changes defenses. Went down 5 and they clogged the lane. Next we were down 10. The Quick Shed lineup has been extremely successful, and one of our best combinations to have out there is Jamal with Emmanuel for different reasons. But also, I could make an argument last night that lineup hurt us last night, which is weird because most of the time we've seen Quick Shed this year, it's absolutely been a winner. But you know what? There's some signs that last night it was subjugated to maybe a little bit more bigger, physicaler guards on the other side in some ways. I don't know. I think that the comment about Shed possibly hitting a wall with his energy for the season is probably true right now. And that this break coming up in this month tomorrow is going to be very helpful. Very, very, very helpful. Neil saying Jacoby got up to get back in the game in the fourth, and they sat him back down, which was weird since he was hot. Yeah. This is something we all noticed, and I'll get behind this. I feel like Jacoby Walter probably should have played more late. And maybe because we overplayed the starters the whole game, they were more tired at the end, and they couldn't do their fourth quarter heroics like we would want from Scotty, Brandon, RJ, and Emmanuel. That's the problem. If you're going to play a playoff rotation where you tighten up with like 7 or 8 guys, Darko, by the end of the game, if they're gassed, they're not going to be able to run the effectiveness to come back and win. So I don't like that. I don't like that you had a tightened up roster for this game. I can understand doing it against Oklahoma City and maybe New York, but not Orlando. Why are you playing a small rotation now? Keep playing 10 guys and spread it out. Seriously, because if our philosophy is to run teams off the court and transition, well, we need to be up in our energy to do that. I want to give some credit to the Raptors for some of those amazing passes in transition, and specifically the buzzer beaters. That one pass that Scott had to Jacoby to make that shot at halftime, wow. And he got it right on time. That was such a small window for perfect execution. And then RJ hitting a shot right at the end of the buzzer in another quarter was pretty cool too. So there was some really cool stuff with our transition game in the second and third quarters that looked really awesome. Where like, wow, look at the Raptors. Look how quick they get the ball down the court. Holy crap. Holy crap. We did display some cool stuff about our team last night. Unfortunately, we didn't win. Unfortunately, we didn't win. Yeah. Yeah. Yes, Blackhawk. Yes. Jimmy's saying, not gonna lie, Darko needs to run more set plays or put an emphasis on getting us out of the mud. We can't just rely on Ingram's tough shot making and fast break off defense. Run some floppy plays or something like that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the ball movement was there in the first half, but in the second half, it really wasn't. Like, that's where we really get the best stuff is by kicking it all around and doing different stuff. But man, if we just are going to come down and set up Brandon in isolation over and over again, that's not going to work every time. It's a good play, maybe every three plays or maybe every other play. But if you're going to do it every single time down the court, it's too predictable. And we have such a talented lineup that we shouldn't be doing that. We should be keeping them unexpected and guessing because we have Emmanuel, Scotty, RJ, and Brandon. We should be keeping them guessing. And the reliance on Brandon, in some ways, it's great because he has come through and made a lot of shots for us, but it's a detriment also if we overuse it. For sure. For sure. Neil's saying this. I still don't want Yak back until next season. Okay. Well, we're going to do the playoffs and we needed to see him with us. We are becoming better players. We did out rebound Magic last night. Reduce our turnovers and we'll be fine. All right. Let me go look at the team stats since Blackhawk brought it up. The key stat, once again, I think, is the three-pointers. They made 10 more threes than us. They shot 50% from three, 17 to 34, and we only made 7 threes. We did shoot better than them overall, and we did make more field goal attempts, but they made more threes, and that's a difference right there. At the free throw line, they did get more free throw attempts than us, 5 more, and we shot 78% at the free throw line. They shot better at the free throw line. In some ways, the missed free throws are frustrating and pissing me off. In some ways, they on the down low can be a momentum killer. And that's annoying. Like, especially if it's a late in the game and we're trying to claw back and somebody gets to the line and we have had a hard time trying to score in general and somebody finally gets to the line and then they miss the first free throw. Oh my gosh. I hate that so much. I hate that so much. Rebounds, we did out rebound them by 3. It's not really a huge margin difference. The assisted turnover ratio was pretty good. 33 assists for the Raptors and 14 turnovers, which is a 2-to-1, over 2-to-1, which is much better than the Knicks game, which was a 1-to-1. And the Orlando crew was going on and on about how almost all of our shots were off of assist. That we had so many field goals, and this is how many of them were assisted, and that was impressive. And that's not really a whole lot of isolation right there. Their assisted turnover ratio was a little bit better in some ways, 28-12. 28-12. That's a little bit better. And then the fast break, we did get 25 fast break points, which is good. And we did dominate the paint. It's 56-42. But why didn't we go there more? Why didn't we go there more, guys? We were going to dominate the paint. We were already dominating the paint. That's right. Damien is here. Damien Dolce, 1081. Good morning. Thank you for the subscription. I think they need to utilize Jamison Battle more despite the development of Grady, Jacoby, and Oshai. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's something that Isaac was joking about on our Discord before the game. He's saying in this game, we might need to battle them with battle late. I know. Maybe he could have been implemented in Grady's minutes later in the game since he wasn't going to play Grady in the second half instead of overdoting the starters and filling Grady's minutes with the guys who are already playing a whole lot. I think Damien's right. I think that, in some ways, I feel like Jamison hasn't gotten the same chances as Oshai and Grady and Jacoby, and that's true. And it's some of it's pecking order and some of it's just how much they get paid. But maybe he deserves to get a better chance. Maybe the way it works is these guys are getting their chances now, If they fail too much, they're out of here, and Jameson gets graduated up in the team because he's still here. You know, because I could see that happening too. I completely agree with this. I mean, Jameson has had bad games and he's shot poorly this year compared to last year, but there's still a lot of promise that he could figure it out. And the other thing I like about Battle over those other guys, not really Walter and Abaji, is that he's a big. He actually plays down low and he can rebound, and he's actually been okay on defense. And in some ways, that's more valuable. You know, Oshai and Jacoby are great defenders too, but Grady, in some ways, you can make the argument that Jamison Battle is a better defender and rebounder than Grady Dick. I think that's true. Isaac saying this. Now, I didn't even say we need a center. We do need another depth piece. Scotty Barnes cannot be under the net to end the game while also providing ball pressure. We have 5 players that play very limited minutes. Hang on. Why did it jump ahead? Well, in that case, I would say if you have Yak, you're good. If you don't have Yak, Collins should be that guy. It's the last line of defense underneath the basket. And Scotty can be the point of attack defender at the end. No, I think you're right that in some ways maybe Scott got lost in no man's land because there was too many duties and too many different things he needed to do in the fourth quarter, and then he just didn't do any of them. Yeah, I can see that. Neil's saying the hands were not in Bane's face. Watch how he got separation. We did not get up on a 40% shooter. Guard better base upon the scouting report, unless the scouting report is calling Bane regular. Nah, I'm gonna disagree with you, Neil. There were times where he was getting wide open shots, but that's what you're remembering. There were times where we covered him up good, and he did still hit the shot over us. So there was a little bit of both. It wasn't completely one or the other. There was definitely times where we guarded him well and he made a tough shot, and there were other times where we didn't get to him and he did make open shots too. So I mean, we could both be right. It's just that I've seen both of them happening. Wayne's saying, whatever we got beat up, whenever we get beat up, we say the other team got to get away with beating us up. How will we know? All we do is touch fouls, try some aggression. That's just not our nature. That means we got to make our shots. Yeah, making our shots is the biggest thing. I mean, that's basketball. You make your shot, you win. And that's the crazy thing about the Raptors. For most of this year, we have not been a good shooting team, and we've still been winning. So in some ways, we've been doing things with smoke and mirrors. And these kind of losses that we've been having recently, we're going to catch up with us at some point, just because our shooting's not as good as it should be. Yeah. Yeah. Neil saying this. Goga played while Wagner was out. Wagner is the Magic's long-term guy, and Goga's out. The writing was written on the wall before Magic put Goga up for trade. Magic isn't giving any Wagner minutes to Goga. I'm not going to argue with you, Neil. You want to argue with me about nitpicky little shit? You go ahead, but I'm going to ignore it. I'm not taking the bait. I'm just going to report what I've heard. Goga's on the trading block, and they did not play him last night because this is common around this time in the trade deadline to sit players because they don't want to risk them getting injured because they're trying to trade them. You can look at it your way and argue with me and be contrarian. I don't give a shit. I'm going to say this. You're making Mo Wagner sound like he's like the most important Magic player. He's not. He's the brother of one of their stars, and he's in some ways a Thonis. Let's just put it that way. All right. Superfan Mo saying this. Good morning, Raptor Freak crew. Bad loss, better days. I will speak my mind. Brother is here from London, Ontario. Okay, cool. Well, hello to Monique's brother. Welcome to the Raptor Freak stream, and I hope you're having a fantastic Saturday morning. We love your sister very much, and we just want to wish her the best on this Saturday morning, both of you, and hopefully you guys are having a great day and have a great Saturday hanging out. And yeah, it was a tough game last night, Mo, and I think much like me, you're sad that the Raptors didn't impress more on the national stage. And that's the main thing I'm thinking about today, right here. That's right. Fourth quarter woes. Indeed, Mo. That's right. Neil saying the league is already hip to Scotty. ESPN, NBC, and Prime have all been talking about Scotty as the stocks leader. So the coverage is not a biggie. Yeah, it is. Once again, you want to argue with me over nitpicky shit? I'll argue with you. It is a biggie because the coverage needs to be happening for him to get the awards. They don't give the award blindly to somebody who hasn't been talked about at all. So this coverage is important for him to get consideration for Defensive Player of the Year or Defensive Team or any kind of All-NBA stuff. And let's not forget the All-Star game's coming up, and they have not announced the reserves. So all of this is important. I can be nitpicky and be contrarian to you in weird little subtle ways also. It is important. It's not a biggie. You're crazy. Coverage is more about these providers vying for attention, and I put to you that there will be more coverage just because they are competing for viewership. This is the benefit of multiple providers. This is something that Fred talked about recently because he's saying that it's the league getting watered down with so many different entities showing NBA games, with Amazon and Peacock more involved now. Is it just too watered down? Are there too many games on different services? And do you have to have so many services? This is a problem. And, Fred and as we're talking about this in the last episode, and there's kind of like Fred as the Players Association president is saying, no, this is good because it's just more ways to get to the game and the product. And, you may not be on Peacock, but you may be on Amazon. You may be on the old school way watching ESPN. And, more access for fans to get to NBA games, no matter which way or whatever, is good in his opinion. But yeah, there is some arguments that like the NBA is getting watered down because there's just so much coverage of it right now. I don't know. I don't think it's that bad. I tend to think what Fred's saying is true, that it's like all publicity is good publicity for the most part. And even if it, maybe there's people out there that want to watch every single NBA game. Well, you can't. That's hard unless you have like the league pass and you're flipping from each game while there's like 6 games going on at once. I don't know. It's interesting. Neil's saying Jameson has more good moments than bad moments, but Darko is trying to hide him. It doesn't look good for our undrafted player to smoke Grady. What? Wait, I'm trying to break that down. Doesn't look good for our undrafted player to smoke Grady. It looks very good for him. I don't understand that comment either. No, Grady's failing this year. And if Grady continues to fail for the rest of this year, he's going to be on his way out. And there will be an opening for Jameson to possibly move up in our pecking order and be more important to the Raptors. In fact, I can see this completely happening. Seriously, because Jameson's not gotten a total chance. And in some ways, he does maybe have the ability to grow into more minutes and more of a regular rotation player. But there's these guys in front of him that are draft picks that are getting the doting on because in some ways they're more invested projects because of their position where they got drafted. And we have to see them through before an undrafted player. But I'll tell you right now, if they know in practice from what they see with Jameson behind the scenes, if they know what they feel like they can be confident in him, well, in some ways, he makes it easier to say goodbye to some of those other guys just in case. So that's the way I look at it right there. The organization is given every opportunity to Grady. They are. He's played every game this year, and that is symbolic of that. But he's still getting a quick hook just in case, like he did last night. If it's not working and you're not contributing to help the team and you're hurting the team, Darko's not playing in the second half. And that's rightfully so. Man, I'm so down on Grady stock right now because the one thing I wanted him to do this year was to be a consistent scorer off the bench for the Raptors, and he's failed. And in some ways, there's some of the energy in my frustration with Grady Dick is a similar energy that I was frustrated with Malachi Flynn, because Malachi Flynn had a role on our team for years as the backup point guard, which he never fulfilled. And, Grady can be a lot of minutes starter last year and get all the opportunities and look good because, well, we're a bad team and we need you to play. Some of these guys start and take shots, and you can look good with your stats in a year of starting last year. But how are you with not much time and having to be potent in small bursts? Not good. Apparently, he needs a runway of a lot of time to have ups and downs, and then hopefully it'll come out to be a positive in the end. But in some ways, it's not. You're just seeing negative, and then he's benched for the rest of the game. So in some ways, he's starting to get into that Flynn frustration area for me. And it's partly because we've gone this whole season, and the success has been fleeting here and there and not consistent. And that's all we're asking of him. I want him to be consistent when he comes out, and we know what we're getting from him when he hits the court. And we're not getting what we need from him consistently. We're just not. Yeah, Grady's defense is getting better, but it collapsed last night. And sometimes it's the matchup. Sometimes it's the personnel of the team we're playing is not conducive for Grady to be okay and actually be all right out in the court. And that's scary because in some ways it doesn't matter if you can play this team. We're not going to play that team every single time. You may be able to run around with Indiana Pacers, Grady Dick, and look good. But we're going to play the Knicks. We're going to play other teams that are tougher, and you can't play the smash mouth play with them, and you get exposed in those games. That's a big problem. That's a huge problem right there. Yeah, it sucks, man. I wanted Grady to work out, and I just want him to continue to work out still going forward. I'm not trying to hate on Grady. I'm just trying to be real about this and what we needed him to do. Apparently, tomorrow is Raptors fan day, guys, versus the Jazz. They're having a game, a fan day thing before the game, I believe, tomorrow or something like that. I'm not totally sure. Yeah, Raptors Reddit looks silly right now. I'm not gonna go ahead and look at them real quick. Somebody's saying that Michael Grange is saying that one NBA executive said that they wouldn't trade Scotty Barnes to get Giannis Antetokounmpo. Yep, yep, that checks with me right there. That definitely checks with me. That's right. Yeah. Anyway, I'm gonna move on. I might wrap up the stream really quick here in a second. We got let's see. All right, real quick. The straight goods on, well, not Canadian goods, but this is a good from Germany. And well, after the game last night, I had the taste in my mouth's a little sour. So I'm putting on blast sauerkraut. This is Kahune. Kahune is the company. They're German, and this is imported from Germany. This is straight up German sauerkraut. And I just want to show that there's brands other than American brands. And if we had a Canadian sauerkraut brand, I put it on blast. But I'm gonna put Kahune on blast today, and this is better. We got new trade partners with the EU and Africa and Asia and different places, and we're pivoting towards buying products from other places in the United States. So knowing their brands is good too, because in some ways the biggest thing about what we're doing right now is buy Canadian, sure, but if you can't get the product from Canada because of whatever reason, let's buy it from somewhere anywhere other than the US. And that's why I say it's Kahune, sauerkraut, because I'm feeling sour about how things went last night. That's why I picked the sauerkraut today, because I'm sour about it. That's right. Let's see. Happy birthday. And this is ridiculous, guys. What was our classic card of the day yesterday? Yeah, it's his birthday. Happy birthday to Jalen McDaniels. Jalen McDaniels was a Raptor for 1 year. It seems like he was on our team for 2 years, but he was really only on our team for 1 year. 50 games, 1 start, and he averaged 3.4 points per game on the Toronto Raptors. He last played for the Wizards last year, but he only played 4 games. And this year, Jalen McDaniel is straight up. Jalen McDaniel is straight up a G League player. He has not played in the NBA at all this year. And we saw him in a G League game with the 905 earlier this season already. So happy birthday to Jalen McDaniels, somebody that's frustrating in himself in certain ways. It's these San Diego State guys are just really frustrating guys, man. Really, really frustrating. So happy birthday to Jalen McDaniels. He's our Raptor Freak birthday of the day. Get your fantasy lineup set up, y'all. We got today and tomorrow for this week, and then we'll be done. All right, let's get done with this stream. We're almost at 2 hours, and I might get it done professionally right on time. Wow, we'll really get this card fast. This card is beautiful. I just pulled this one. This is random, guys. Here we go. You know who that is. And we did talk about him today. So, whoa, that's too easy, Lex. You could put it way back here and somebody would be able to get it. Seriously, you could probably put it all the way back here. Well, you better get that right. What is your spell correct? It's crazy. What are you trying to say on your texts? Either way, it's like DZ's got it. He knows who it is. It's just he's got to return to come back with that. It's a good thing I don't put a lockout on when you write it in like I used to. Of course, this is one of our groats. Look at this beautiful Siakam Raptors card. I think it's too nice. I think I might keep this one, guys, for my own personal collection. It's beautiful, man. And we just talked about Siakam. It's crazy how this works, man. It's crazy how this works. Seriously. All right. So it's easy, obviously. It's a 50-point card. But Pascal Siakam is the classic card of the day for the last day of January. And it's going to be slugged easy once again. Coming in and the king of the classic card got past the autocorrect and got it done either way. All right, let me just see what y'all are saying here real quick. Slug Deezy saying Grady just had 5 straight games with 10 plus points on the bench. Relax. I know, but I'm telling you, man, I'm looking at it a whole scale of things. And in some ways, I know you guys are saying relax, but I'm telling you right now, I don't want to waste time spinning wheels with Grady Dick if he is not going to come through in the right ways. And I'm telling you, once again, I scouted him originally. I said he's not an NBA player. And in some ways, I'm feeling like that's true. Yep. I'm feeling like that's true. In some ways, he's got to prove way more to me for me to actually believe he's a long-time NBA player. I feel like he might be just a couple years guy and you're out. And that's the scary thing for Grady. He's got to fucking get his shit together if he really wants to stay in the NBA. I'm telling you right now. Man, all right, we're at 2 hours. Neil's saying some teams got your number, but that can be the matchups. If there's no team that coach won't play you against, then that is another scouting issue on our part. Man, it's just I don't know. Anyway, I don't want to go on Grady for too long. I said my piece on Grady right now. Wayne's saying Grady just has dumbass fouls because he's out of position most times. His fouls just look lazy and amateurish. And he gets burned so bad sometimes. And like I said, the one things that were really his strengths are gone all of a sudden. And that's the thing that's pissing me off. If there was one thing that we could guarantee on him, he was a sure shot and he'd make the shots. And he's not doing that this year. That's his most important priority. That's the thing that makes him special in this league as far as his skills to be able to be in the league. And if it's not, that skill is not there, we're fucked. And he's wasting our time. And like I said, I've said we're not a charity group. The Raptors organization is not UNICEF. We're not trying to do things as humanitarians to help people. We don't owe Grady Dick his NBA career. He has to fucking put in the work and be successful himself. We can nurture him. We can be standing beside him, supporting him. But in some ways, he has to fucking do it. If he doesn't do it, we're not a charity. And we just say, oh, Grady's a great guy. We keep him in the league because he's just a great guy. And all this stuff. Fuck that shit. He needs to fucking pull his weight and be who he's supposed to be in this league. If he's supposed to be in this league. Let's just put it that way. Let's just put it that way, man. Anyway, I'm out. I'm going to get done right here. And Neil's saying Don Lemon is free. And Donald Trump is now ordering DOJ to arrest Obama. Well, I'll say one thing before I go, because I really do want to get done now. And you implementing the politics right at the end, Neil, is not totally welcome. Thank God Don Lemon's out. Thank God Georgia Ford is out. Notice that the people that were arrested as journalists were all black. And also, they released a bunch of the Epstein files yesterday. And if you've read them, they are crazy. Murdering children, Robin Leach, all kinds of crazy shit. You guys need to go and see the Epstein files that are out that you can see publicly and the allegations that are made towards the Epstein people. And Donald Trump is rife in the middle of all of it. Yeah, it's kind of crazy who's involved in it. And some of the shit that they did, like literally raping and killing underage girls. After they rape them, they kill them and bury them. And, this makes the whole thing about Trump burying his ex-wife in his golf course look like it makes sense because he's been burying people in weird places all over the place for a while now. And the ugly truth about Donald Trump has come out. And well, hopefully this comes around and gets him finally, because people can actually hear the crazy ass shit they've been doing. Like it said in the Epstein files that Robin Leach choked out a young woman in front of people. Like, because he could get away with the lifestyles of the rich and famous. We're choking out underage women after we rape them and we bury them in a shallow grave in the backyard. It's crazy. If y'all have not seen the transcripts and the research and the stuff that the Department of Justice had compiled about the Epstein stuff, it'll open your eyes and you'll be like, that motherfucker's going to hell. And he's absolutely needs to be out of power today because of the allegations that are in there and the stuff that's in there. It's insane, man. And it's like 13-year-old girls. It's like, it's so disgusting and gross. And yeah, Bill Clinton's in there too, and he needs to go down too. I don't give a shit, man. I don't care. I'm not political in the way that I'm going to stand up for Bill Clinton, but I'm going to come after all of these pedophile motherfuckers. And this is the way all of us should be right now. Seriously, man. Seriously, man. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, it's like DZ saying if Grady was going off, the contract extension would hurt us. Now we can get him for cheap. Still a valuable player. Will we even want to waste our time with him? That's what I say. This is a good point by Slug DZ. Is he'd be way more expensive if he was doing well. But in some ways, we want that problem of him being so good that he's expensive, because that means he's going above and beyond. He's playing his ass off. There's two ways to look at it here. Neil's saying basically you're calling Grady the anti-Con Knipple. Yeah, right now he is. He is this year. And you know what? I'm not going to say Con Knipple is going to be perfect forever. He's a rookie. He's not totally scouted. They haven't totally figured him out. Next year, Con Knipple will have a sophomore slump, and he'll look a little worse than he does this year. Trust me. That is coming. All right, y'all. Thanks for watching the Raptor Freak stream. Too bad. The Raptors fumbled a national television appearance on ESPN last night to lose to the Magic by 10 points. It's bullshit. It's fucking bullshit. Y'all got outscored 44-21 in the last quarter. What the fuck, Raptors? Have some more pride and fucking play better, Scotty. Come on, man. Take over the game. That's your thing. My 3 stars of the game in the loss: Brandon Ingram, Scotty Barnes, and Jacoby Walter. All right, y'all. Have a great Saturday. I'll be back tomorrow for the preview for this Jazz game. And we'll get out of here right at 2 hours and 5 minutes. Let's go, Raptors.